Welcome to the Mint Condition Podcast. Today we've got a new guest, Mark Ormond with AccessCare. Thanks for coming on.
Anytime.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about AccessCare. There's multiple layers to this.
Yeah, AccessCare is a medical funding group, and what we do is we go out and contract with medical providers to help patients get into different therapies and medicine for auto accidents mainly.
Okay, cool. Are there other projects that you guys are involved in, or how does that all work together?
Yeah, our company is kind of unique in that in addition to our medical funding company, we also own some clinics where our surgeons can come in, evaluate these patients, and then go to our surgery center. There are a handful of other companies that are similar to that, but we really pride ourselves in trying to bring in the best surgeons and physicians to look these patients over.
Yeah, I've met some of them, and they're incredible. Brad Duhan,
Neurosurgeon.
favorite neurosurgeon, spine surgeon of any kind that I've met in my career.
Yeah.
Just incredible. Like, will win over any physical therapist or chiropractor, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, he's so knowledgeable, and he wants to do the right thing for the patient. He wants to help them maintain their range of motion. This is the biggest thing. So when you injure your spine, if you get a fusion or something, it starts to really limit how well you can move. And he wants to preserve that movement, because if he can, then he knows that you're going to have a long-term recovery that's going to be something that lasts forever.
Right. Gives you the right outcome, so you're not just in that system, right? And we could dive into back surgeries, right?
We could,
and the negative side effects.
And I'm sure anybody that's had a back surgery that's listening, oh man, I feel bad for you. Hopefully you had a good surgeon.
Yeah, and hopefully not, too young or all those negative side effects. One thing I like with Brad Duhan is how much he talks up about Jaime Padilla, Jonathan. Like, he really likes his support staff and the other providers there.
Yeah. It's probably one of the things that makes him really, really unique, is that he knows that he has to have that trust with the physicians that are working up the case before the patient ever sees him. Yeah. He's not that surgeon that just thinks that he knows everything.
Right.
He wants to take everybody's evaluations of these patients, take that into consideration before making a decision. Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why he has such good outcomes.
Yeah, I love that. One thing that really inspired me when talking to him was when he said, I could be like every other surgeon and have 5 houses, but I'd rather have one and really help people.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
That shows a lot of character.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, and those are the guys that we look for. We just want to do what's right by the patient, and so we want to find surgeons that also mirror our business model.
Right. I love that. Well, before we dive into, because I want to hear your whole history, because you've got a long track record, right? But before we dive into that, you got to tell me about your arm tattoo.
Okay.
People will have to hear the story.
All right. Let's see. This one?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So I got introduced to a tattoo artist. She's local here in Utah. Her name's Megan Jean Morris.
Okay.
She was on Ink Masters, and she's a really popular tattoo artist. I went to her, and initially she was not going to tattoo me. She's very picky on who she likes to tattoo.
Why is that? What makes her so picky?
Just
is it time? Is it the body structure, or what is that?
No. It's more about she's at a phase in her career where she just wants to do what she wants to do, which is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So she's built up a good following and done a fantastic job honing in her skill and her style. Yeah. And so basically she just gets, whenever somebody requests her, she gets to decide, do I really want to do this project or not? She's not a starving artist. Right?
So how'd you win her over?
I won her over because my girlfriend happened to be getting a tattoo from her. So I got to interact with her throughout that process.
Cool.
And eventually then Megan G was like, okay, well, I guess I'll do you. I guess I'll do a piece for you. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Did you get to pick it? What was her influence on the art?
That's what makes it very unique to get a tattoo from her, is that she really is trying to get to know your personality, and then she creates the design. And then,
cool.
So I spent a few hours on the phone with her, like the night before that we were going to go into the design. And she just asked me questions, trying to get to know me. And then the next day, go over there, and she's got her kind of a rough draft of what she's thinking she would like, and then she lets you have input. She's obviously she's not going to tattoo something that you don't like, right? But it makes it a very intimate, unique experience when you're working with the artist in that capacity, rather than going to an artist and saying, "Hey, put this line here and do this here," type thing, right? And so there's a lot of trust in that process, that I have to trust her art and she has to trust me that I'm going to like it.
Right.
Because if that trust breaks down, then it's not a good experience for either party.
Right. And more so for you, because you got this for life.
Yeah, exactly.
So you won't be able to show everything, but can you tell us a little bit, and then tell, like, how can people see, because you've got pictures of your arm, right, that people can check out?
Yeah, just go to her Instagram, Megan Jean Morris, I think is what her handle is.
Look her up on Instagram.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So anyway, it's really cool. This is a heart with roots that lead up to this violin player. He's headless. He's supposed to be headless because he's not representing any individual person.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Why violin?
She just knows that I like music and art. So violin was kind of a...
Violin is the best music instrument.
Yeah.
I'm biased because I play violin.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But I didn't know if you did or if that had some tie.
I just love music in general, all genres. So I'm very passionate about music. And
That's cool.
I mean, I'm sure.
You're passionate about all art, it seems.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I had to get that story out there because I love that story. So tell us about your journey. Where did you start? How did you get involved with auto accident?
Yeah, I've been doing this 20 years now. I started in 2005 working for a local law firm here, and I just had an entry-level job at the time. It was awesome. I was what they called an investigator, which is not as fancy as it sounds.
It sounds pretty fancy.
Yeah, but you drive out to the person's house that may need representation, and you gather all the information, and then bring it back to the law office, and then they decide if this is really a case they can handle or not.
Yeah.
So investigators.
Did you have to go and take pictures places and like
pictures of vehicles? I'd go to tow yards if I had to get these pictures. If they had any sort of visible injury, we'd take pictures of that. So if they had bruising or something along those lines, we'd take pictures so that we could document all that kind of stuff, and then gather up police reports and all the information that the law office is going to need, insurance information, that sort of stuff.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Where'd you go from there?
So from there, I had my daughter, first child, and so I needed to make a lot more money. And so I told them, I'm like, hey, I'd really love to be promoted within the law firm, which is hard when you're not an attorney.
Right.
But they had this one position where it's called pre-litigation negotiations. And that's where they try and get all these claims settled with the insurance company so they don't have to file lawsuits. And so they happen to have this position, and I went in to the boss and said, I need this job. And he's like, okay, I'll give you an opportunity. I'll give you a chance. And I had to grind through it and figure it out. And it was a really good opportunity for me. Loved doing it. I'll tell a quick story. The very first claim I settled. Am I allowed to swear on this podcast?
Yeah,
okay.
you can.
All right. So I'm really nervous. Just a really small accident. Luckily, the person wasn't too terribly hurt. They just went to urgent care, got checked out, and then they were fine. But they still have a legal claim here because you're trying to get the insurance company to pay for your medical bills. And then we also have this thing that we generally talk about, which is pain and suffering, because you went through something, right? And so those are the two things that a law office is trying to get compensation for these clients.
Right.
And so the very first one I had, this guy didn't have a big injury, but he still had a claim, right? So I submit everything over to the insurance company, and he got an offer. It covered his medical bills, covered his legal fees, and was going to put about $500 in his pocket. And so I'm really nervous. I'm like, all I got was $500 for somebody? That sucks.
Yeah, for all
in
the
my
pain
mind,
and suffering.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, So anyway, I call the kid up and I tell him, I'm like building this up. I'm like, hey, everything's good. We've at least got your medical bills covered. Your legal fees are taken care of. And I got you a little bit of money. I got you $500. And he goes, fuck yeah.
That's awesome.
He was so stoked. Yeah. So that really sold me on what I'm doing, right? Like you're helping
like,
people.
I got to help people.
You're helping people. And the insurance companies are very, very difficult to work with, which is the only reason why we have this industry. If the insurance companies were easy to work with, there would be no attorneys.
Yep.
And everybody would just get better and get the compensation that our legal system provides. But because the insurance companies think that everybody's faking it and that these injuries are not real and whatever, that's why we have this whole industry. And so it really sold me on the individual, why I'm doing what I'm doing. Yeah. And I had it from day one, and I've loved it ever since.
Yeah, very early on you saw people in need and how you could influence and help that, because there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of people. But I think that's the message to get out there is the insurance company thinks you're faking it, or even if they think you're not, they want to get out of it. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. So talk to a lawyer. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I mean, it doesn't even, and the thing is, it doesn't hurt to talk to an attorney because
it's free, right?
Yeah. They're just going to look over your claim and see what they can do to help you out. And it doesn't matter if it's a big claim or a small claim. If you're running into troubles with the insurance companies, which everybody does. Yep. Then just talk to an attorney, find out if they think that they can help you out. Not everybody an attorney can represent. There's restrictions to what they can do. And so if they look your case over and say, hey, I really think I can help you out, they likely can.
And there's not only attorneys that, like you said, have those restrictions, but if they can't help you out, there's other people you could talk to. Yeah. Like I'm a really big fan of interview the people you're hiring. Yeah. So go and interview several lawyers.
Yeah, exactly.
I tell patients all the time, interview your PTs before you sign up with them. Yeah. And if they won't give you the time to interview them, go somewhere else. Right. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And great point. I mean, look, when you're getting your car fixed, you're taking it to 2 or 3 auto body shops to get estimates. Yep. Do the same thing with your attorneys and your providers. Yeah. Find the right ones that are going to be the ones that can help you through this process.
Yeah. Exactly. So after working with this law firm, where'd you go from there? How'd you end up with AccessCare?
So at that time, what I did is I started my own company, a medical funding company. And the reason why I did that was when I was working at the law office, the provider network was not good at the time. And the reason behind that is that there's a lot of, good chiropractors that would treat these patients. But beyond that, there really wasn't any services for these patients at that time. And so I came up with this idea that, hey, what if I go to like an MRI place or a surgeon and negotiate a contract with them similar to like a health insurance, and I'll pay for the services, and then I'll work with the law office to get the collection on that service. And so that was in 2010. I started that company. And it was awesome because now all of a sudden these patients can get additional services, right? And we can see what these injuries really are now, because imaging alone is probably the most crucial thing that you can do, because you don't know what's going on the inside unless you can get a scan, right?
Yeah. And in the doctor's opinion, the Chiro MD PT helps, but the image gives a lot of like support to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it helps identify exactly where these providers should be treating you. Right.
And how severe is that damage?
Yeah. So in 2010, that's what I did. I went out and just started calling imaging centers and hospitals. And,
that's cool.
And signing up a bunch of providers that historically were not treating these patients. Yeah. And the reason why they're not treating these patients is because they didn't know how to get paid.
Right. They don't know how to deal with auto insurance, lawyers, the whole thing.
Yeah, but I did, right? Yeah. I knew how to get these bills paid for. So I go in, pay cash for services, and these patients now have access to all this care.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that was huge. Did that for about 5 years, then sold that company. And at that time, I actually took my proceeds after selling that company and opened up a physical therapy clinic. I acquired
Right. Okay.
a physical therapy clinic. Here
What was the
in
name of that one?
Redwood Physical Therapy.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, Jake Erickson.
Yeah, great guy.
Yeah. Yep. So purchased that, and then I opened up a medical doctor clinic, a general medical doctor, to help support this claim, and also to, if the patient needed something short term to help alleviate the pain, you need a MD to write a prescription, right?
Right.
So and there weren't any general MDs here in Utah at that time, so that's what I did with my proceeds. That was a really good business because I understood the billing side of it, the treatment side, and now the legal side, right?
That's really cool. You got the full picture.
Yeah.
You've seen it from every angle.
Yeah. And so did that for a couple years. The hard part about owning physicians clinics is actually the MDs are the worst employees.
What makes them so bad?
You got to keep in mind that at that time there were not good physicians that were in this space.
Right, in this space. Yeah, for sure.
So they were okay, but a lot of headache for me.
Well, and they weren't used to dealing with all this.
Yeah.
Right? They're used to health insurance, Medicare,
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm guessing some cash stuff.
Yeah.
But auto accident's its own beast.
Yeah, it's its own beast. So anyway, I sold those clinics to the physicians. I'd much rather them own their own clinics rather than be employees.
Yeah.
If you have an employee MD, might say
you got to find the right one. You got to find who works.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, my mom's a nurse practitioner, and she's very much in line with that. She's like, doesn't want to own her own thing as a nurse practitioner, but she said all the MDs she's worked with, it's like they like it their way.
Yeah, they do. And they can get after the staff, and they can cause some problems, right?
Yeah.
But that's not a bad thing. I mean, look, they're doing things to help people, and they want to make sure that that at least the standard of care is meeting their expectations, right?
Yeah, it's their reputation on the line.
Exactly.
And so they're upholding that.
Well, they don't want malpractice. There's a lot that goes into being a physician that's a little stressful,
Yep.
right? So anyway, I sold the clinics to them, let them run it how they wanted to run it, so that there was no conflict on that.
Yeah.
And then when I did that, I realized that there was not good technology in our space. So I was driving back from an appointment up in Brigham City, heading back to Salt Lake, and I just had this idea of a software program that if I could get the attorneys and the physicians to communicate via technology, a portal, right? And then interject the money where the money needs to go, that would be really, really useful for this community. Because the way it worked was, hey, everybody's doing their own thing, right? So you might hand off your patient to a doctor, and then you never hear back. You don't know what's going on with the treatment plan, right?
And I've heard so many providers mad about that.
Yeah.
They're like referred to somewhere, and that person ordered an MRI and gave a pain injection and referred out to physical therapy.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
It's a neck injury, and I'm treating it. Why are they seeing a PT too, or whatever, right? Or they're getting pain injections. It's like they just had a crash 2 weeks ago. Can we wait a minute?
Yeah.
So that communication's vital.
Yeah. So, and the insurance companies, they have big software programs, and they all communicate with each other. Yeah. There's a reason why State Farm knows that you've had 8 accidents, even if you're not a State Farm customer, right? They know these things about everybody. They've got huge data sets on the whole population.
Is why they win.
Yeah. Right. And so I took that as a challenge to say, can we bring some of that technology into our space so that we're communicating better and helping these patients get back to life, really, right? So anyway, I just scratched all these ideas down on a piece of paper as I'm driving home. Probably not the wisest thing, but I didn't get in the car, right? Yeah.
No crash.
No crash.
So we're good.
Yeah. And then I just started pitching it to people in the space, and was able to find some investors that are now my partners.
They saw the vision of what you wanted to
Yeah,
create.
because they needed it. They were a med finance company, and they were managing this stuff on spreadsheets and Dropbox. Like,
we're talking like Excel.
Yeah.
Dang, that's cool.
Yeah. So they needed that solution for their company, but and they just love the idea. They invested in it, and we've now got this awesome platform that all these providers and all these attorneys log into every day and can see the treatment plan unfolding in real time. And we're taking really good care of all these patients now because we're communicating better.
People aren't getting dropped off.
Right.
They're not missing out or getting delays in care.
Right. They're not getting forgotten.
Fun. Right.
Yeah.
6 months later, I'm still dying. Oh, well, why didn't you say anything? Well, I did. No one listened.
Right.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
That's really cool.
So we just have more eyes on these patients, right?
Yeah.
And so the speed of care is faster now. The quality of care is better. And then we're helping the attorneys with all the documentation that they need to eventually take that to the insurance companies.
So all of the providers out there listening, can all of them get involved in this and
Absolutely.
get access and use this? What do they do? They just reach out to you guys, send you an email, call? What do they do?
Just reach out to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you'll get them set up. Now they're in the system. They can communicate. You guys can communicate with them.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Have you heard about the system they have in Taiwan?
No.
This is a small tangent.
Okay.
But
Let's hear it.
so Taiwan has this amazing system for their healthcare. Okay. If I'm remembering right, I mean, it's been 8 years since I was in grad school when they taught us about this. In PT school, they teach you about every healthcare system in the world, or the main ones. And so Taiwan, everybody has a card. And wherever you go, every doctor's office, everywhere, scan your card. That doctor has access to everything you've ever done.
Yeah.
They can look up every MRI, anything. It's all right there.
Yeah.
It's not so scattered and broken like what we have in the United States.
Yeah.
And that sounds like what you're building. Is
Yeah.
that system.
Yeah. On a smaller scale, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's cool. Well, yeah, right. Like that is part of the reason why our healthcare system is the way it is today, right? It's just we don't have the right information in front of the right people.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I've had patients get 3 or 4 MRIs for like just their neck in a 6-month period.
Yeah.
Because each person they go to is like, no, I want to order my own.
Right.
Why?
Yeah. Why?
The MRI, does it change much? Like, I mean, the quality of where you go can matter. I personally really like Reyes and their quality, but I can't. I don't know. I struggle with that.
Yeah.
It's like 4 MRIs.
That seems excessive, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if they had your system, they knew that sometimes the patients don't even tell them they already have one.
Yeah. Sometimes they don't. Right.
So I love that.
Yeah. And, that's a good point because the patient, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
So it's easy to forget some of the things, especially when you're in pain. You can have a lot of stress and different things, and it's confusing. It's intentionally supposed to be confusing. That's how the insurance companies want it.
Right.
And they've done a really good job at the state level to create laws and things to make it confusing.
Yeah.
Right. So,
which is why you need a lawyer to help guide you and a good medical coordinator.
That's right. Yeah.
Right.
And if we're all working together, it's like you got a whole team of experts trying to help you get better.
So a lot of the chiropractors that I've worked with, fantastic clinicians, love working with them. They like to quarterback the case. Mm-hmm. How does your system support them as the quarterback so they can keep being the quarterback and you guys want to help and build up what they're doing?
Yeah. The awesome thing about the chiropractic community, and you see this too, is the frequency at which you get to interact with the patient.
Right.
You start to really build a relationship with these people, right? And so we love that about our chiropractic community. And they really can help these patients navigate that care. So we call it quarterbacking, right? Where we help out in our clinic level, so we do have some clinics, is that we support the chiropractic treatment plan and just make sure that the documentation is correct. And then we can obviously do services that a chiropractor can't do, right? Like write prescriptions or if you need pain injections or whatever, right? And so we're really just supporting their treatment plan and helping out where they need our help.
I think that's super helpful because I can imagine some chiropractors are like, I don't want to get him into AccessCare and you guys just take over, right?
Yeah.
Like you're going to support them in taking care of the individual. One of the things you said early on that hit me, and I think it's the most important thing, and this is what every patient should be looking for, is companies like AccessCare that are doing what's best for you, right? There's another company that we work with for home health, right? Physical therapy in their home. And that's what I love. Like, if they're not the right company for that patient, they find the right company and they get the information over and they connect them.
Yeah.
They get no money for this, but it just shows their integrity and what they actually care about. And I feel like AccessCare, that's what you're saying, right? Like,
Yeah.
what's best for this patient, even if it means not working with you guys.
Yeah.
Like, we want you to get better, have a strong car accident case, good lawyer, and obviously working with you guys is one of the best options, but
Yeah.
but not always. Like, you guys actually care. That's
Oh yeah,
really cool.
absolutely. Yeah, we have patients that we're helping that never come in and step a foot in our clinic, but we help them because they want to work with maybe their primary care doctor or whatever it might be, whatever the reasons are that they don't want to necessarily come into our clinic. That's fine. We all we do at AccessCare is help pave the way for you to actually get treatment that you're comfortable with, that helps on your recovery.
That's really neat. I love that. So along the way, what has been some of maybe one or two of your sticking points where you're like, man, this is tough. I want to give up, or how am I going to get through this? What are those challenges? What'd that look like?
I don't know, like one or two challenges.
I didn't prep you for that at all.
You did not,
I?
no.
You've been through so much. All the things with the lawyer, the medical side, the finance and support and structure side. There's got to be some hurdles.
Oh yeah.
You didn't go to grad school for this, right?
No, I did not. No. Yeah, that's a good question. The biggest thing, honestly, is it's a very contentious industry, and I mean it's by nature that it is, right? You got insurance companies fighting attorneys and arguing over nonsense, and you've got the patient stuck in the middle, and they're just the victim of this thing. They didn't ask to be in an accident, right? And so you're dealing with somebody that needs this help, but there's everybody's fighting on all sides of it, and learning how to navigate that, and it's very stressful at times. So that overall, you have to learn how to get through that part,
right?
And it's rewarding if you can find how to navigate the fighting.
So you've had times where that was frustrating,
and
other times where you feel like I know how to handle these situations better.
For sure. Yeah,
that's really neat.
Yeah, I don't feel that way much anymore, but that just comes with getting older and doing it for so long, right? Like there's not an argument I haven't seen.
Yeah, I think that helps. You've been through it. Right, a lot of the physical therapists out there, like Mint, when we started, it's a little scary. You're like, what am I doing? How do I do this? There's an argument here, right? Mom and dad are fighting.
Yeah.
Like, what do I do?
Yeah.
And early on, you guys were super helpful. Some other people in the community, like Resh Law, super helpful, and Robinson Law taught us some stuff, just so that we understood and could glean from your experience, right? We should I'm just thinking about this now. We should do more of those classes because it's been a minute.
Yeah.
We should do more of those and maybe invite some local PTs, chiropractors, and just say, hey guys, come learn.
Yeah.
Like we had to learn, right? And bring in some lawyers, bring in your specialists. Here's how it works. Here's how we help people.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that'd be neat.
Yeah. We're already working on that.
Oh, perfect. Good.
So with Brody, actually.
Oh, nice.
The man behind the camera.
I love it. Let's make it happen.
Let's do it.
That'll be great to get that information out there.
Yeah.
Right. Often in healthcare or any business, you're competing. Right. You got to come see us, not the other PT, or you got to see this chiro, not that chiro. And if we can, obviously business is going to compete. Keep doing that, but focus on patient care first.
Yeah.
When we balance that, did the patient get what they need? A lot of my patients, I'll tell them, if I'm not the right PT, let's try a different PT at Mint. If nobody here is the right PT, let's get you to a different PT group, right?
Yep.
Because you've got to get better.
Yeah.
9 months in, great, we got to bill a ton, and you got zero progress is never okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So this is one of the reasons why we like Mint PT and work so closely with you, because you share a similar vision to us, right? We built our entire company around that concept. If our services are not good for you, we will refer you to somebody that hopefully can help you. We're pretty confident in what we do, and we think we've got a really nice product, but we're okay if you don't like what we do, we can get you somewhere else.
Yeah,
And that's okay.
And I don't think there's a single company out there that's a one size fits all.
No, not at all.
But there are a lot that claim to be. And I won't name drop, but there's certain ones that if they get your name and phone number, you're in prison.
Well, it's a very competitive
out.
industry,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you see the billboards on I-15.
Yeah.
You see the TV ads. So obviously, it's very, very competitive. With that comes a lot of personalities and a lot of people that think that they've got the golden ticket to how to do this.
Yep.
That's just business. That's what we do.
Right.
We compete. But what we like is to find providers and attorneys and the community that fits our model, which is we want to do what's right by the patient.
Yeah.
As long as we all do what's right by the patient, then we're probably going to be okay in business.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I think that's fantastic. What things do providers out there need to know about auto accidents so that they can get into this, get involved,
Yeah.
and not screw it up?
Yeah. Great question. The hardest part when a new provider enters into this space is documentation. So if you go to your primary care doctor, right, and they've got a whole history of you, they know that you're not sleeping well, they know that you have migraines once every 6 months, they know that you might be pre-diabetic, whatever, right? They know when you got your last flu shot. That's what you do with your primary care doctor. The hard part is when an auto accident patient goes to their primary care doctor, that primary care doctor, if they're not documenting that specific visit for that specific injury,
Right.
then they open the door to the insurance company saying, well, maybe you're not sleeping good because of external reasons.
Right.
It has nothing to do with the auto accident, right? So when we introduce a new provider into the space, we spend a lot of time helping educate them on the importance of documenting just that specific injury that was a result of the auto accident.
Help me understand. So if they go to their primary care or urgent care or wherever, those providers should make that visit just the auto accident visit. And if they're also there because of their diabetes checkup, document it separately or run that separately.
Come in on a different day for that stuff.
Okay.
Yep.
That's really helpful.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, especially primary care, who have to deal with how many headaches, right?
Yep, right.
There aren't a lot of primary care docs out there who only do auto accident.
Right. Very few.
Very few.
Yeah.
So they need to, we got to get that information out there, document causation.
Yeah.
And document it as auto accident. I saw them for the auto accident.
That's right. Yep. They came in today just to see me for their auto accident injuries. Right. And so educating new providers into the space, and it's not hard, obviously. It's just change of pace for them.
Right.
In fact, I'm going to meet with a primary care doctor in Provo next week and just talk to him about it. Yeah.
I think PTs need to know that too, because there's groups like ours that we only do auto accident and workers' comp.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's other groups that do two auto accidents a year.
Mm-hmm.
And they're seeing them for their total knee replacement and they got in a car crash and they're like, oh, by the way, they also got in a car crash.
Yeah.
So I think the PTs and chiropractors need to know this too.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. On the PT side, if you're trying to educate somebody how to do auto accidents coming from physical therapy, it's all about getting out of the mindset of health insurance for a PT. They're used to charting because if you don't chart properly, then your health insurance claim gets denied and then you don't get paid, right? Yep. So they build their charts around that payment process from health insurance. Well, auto accidents, way different than that. We don't have any of that nonsense to have to deal with. So when you're treating an auto accident patient, you get to just say what the injuries are, and you get to order what you need to order to actually help speed that process along. I think in the health insurance world, I've been told that that if you order an MRI prior to 6 weeks, they'll deny it.
Yep.
And so
Often.
you have to wait for 6 weeks to get an MRI in health insurance. Well, guess what? I can get you an MRI today.
Yeah.
In an auto accident. We can actually see what's going on. If you wait till 6 weeks, you might miss some of these injuries.
And it's not just that it could get ordered, it needs to be.
Yeah, it
and
needs to
be. This is PTs are notoriously conservative with treatment, right? Don't order an MRI, that's unnecessary. PTs have to understand sometimes you're ordering it to know what's going on and understand it. Sometimes you're ordering it because the case needs it.
Yep.
You said they're hurt, but get more information to back this up. You're building a case like an investigator, right?
Yeah, exactly. We want to see what's going on. And that also helps the patient too, because you have a lot of concerns about, do I have a permanent injury? Is this a long-term thing? Maybe, but until you get a scan, it's impossible to know what's going on inside. So the nice thing is actually when you get a scan and it comes back negative, because then you can have a lot more peace of mind moving forward, understanding that this is not going to be a long-term thing for you.
I just need work on my pain and my function.
Yeah, and I'll be fine.
My body's doing pretty good.
Yeah. So let's get those scans, and don't worry if it comes out negative. That's good.
Yeah.
That means you're not that hurt, which is good.
Yeah, who wants to be hurt,
Yeah,
right?
nobody.
The other thing I would say that PTs, providers in general, I think chiropractors understand this field better than PTs, right?
Yep.
We're getting more involved. We need to be.
Yeah.
But car crashes are intense. Like to get hit by another massive object, they've shown the amount of damage caused by 8 miles per hour.
There's a case out of Florida that a person died in an under 5 mile per hour accident. It's the lowest speed of documented death.
Wow.
Yeah. So imagine now 45 miles an hour or 60 or whatever, right? Like we talk about these things as if if it's so minor, you shouldn't be that hurt.
Right.
That's just not how it works.
Yeah.
You can be severely hurt depending on how you're sitting, a lot of factors, right? So yeah, just you gotta take that equation out of it and just say, what are your complaints? And let's see if we can test for those complaints to make sure that is what's going on, right?
Right. Yeah, and finding ways to show that, because unfortunately you don't have much of a claim if there's zero damage to your car.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Like a small scratch and they're like, you are not hurt. Even if it was 5 or 8 miles per hour. Right?
That's what they'll argue.
Yeah, that's what they'll argue.
Yeah, right.
But ultimately, your car's totaled. You might walk away and be like, I'm fine.
Happens all the time.
You might walk away and be from a smaller crash, 10 miles, 15 miles per hour, and be jacked.
Yeah, you might need surgery.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's very, everybody's seen them, like a rollover, or we saw it on the news or whatever. And people walk away from that stuff sometimes not hurt. And that's awesome.
Yeah.
We love it when that happens, right?
Oh, yeah.
But then you get a smaller accident and now all of a sudden they need shoulder surgery because of the way the seatbelt was coming across their shoulder or something.
Right. And the right angle of the hit or anything like that.
There's just so many factors that go into it.
And those are the hardest ones for me because nobody wants to believe them.
Right. Yeah.
And that's where imaging can help, and getting seen by a chiro PT and MD, right?
Yep.
Get multiple opinions on this and multiple assessments. But yeah, that's tough when you're like, man, I'm really hurt, even though it was a small crash.
Yeah. Why does no one believe me?
Yeah.
Right. Well, we do. We believe you, and
Exactly.
we can figure out a way to get you feeling better.
Yeah. And yeah, that's why there's got to be people like AccessCare in this industry to help those people.
Yeah.
I want to get more physical therapists involved. What is your point of view? What have you seen? Because you've owned a PT practice, medical practice, and you work with a lot of chiropractors. What's your point of view on why are PTs not as involved, and how do we get maybe chiropractors and MDs to utilize PTs more?
Yeah, it's I don't know exactly why PTs are not as involved as they could be in this space. I don't know if it's what they teach you at PT school or what. I don't fully know why that is. But what I do know is that when we get physical therapy involved on these cases, it helps the patient get feeling better faster. And you can do different exercises and modalities that are unique to your service, right?
Right.
So if there's PTs listening to this, please figure out a way to treat these auto accident patients. They need your help.
Yeah. Well, and talk to you and Brody.
Yep.
Get involved with these classes so you can learn. Work with AccessCare so that you're in the system. You've got that help. I think a lot of PTs, especially the ones out there, own their own practice. Maybe they're a solo provider, and it's scary.
Yeah.
And it's like, how am I supposed to learn all of this? I'm just not going to touch it.
Right.
Right. And it's not that hard. And there's people who will guide you and say, let me lay it out for you, basically. The amount of help that you could give them, you should own half their business. Let me do it for you and just give me 50%. That's it.
No, we're okay. We don't need
I
that.
know. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I think that's the next step.
Yeah.
Right. And what would you tell chiropractors about getting physical therapists involved? And are we going to steal their patients and kick them out, or?
No, not if you're doing it right.
Right.
It's a supplement to the quarterbacking that the chiropractor is already doing. Right.
Yeah.
They have special training in certain areas of the body, just like you do, and just like a neurosurgeon does. Right. And so anytime that they have a modality that they're not the expert on, they should refer it out to a physical therapist or whoever. Right.
Yeah.
If they need to. And the nice thing is that we have built a really good community locally that everybody is now working well together, right? And we just want to make sure that we're doing the right thing for the patient, and having the right mindset is always going to help in that situation.
Yeah, I agree. That's what we try to help chiropractors understand is work with physical therapists. It doesn't even have to be our group, but work with a physical therapist so that the patient gets better faster. Chiros are great and they do a lot of great things. But patient gets better faster. The patient, I feel like, will be even happier with the chiropractor PT combo working together instead of, just one or the other.
Well, you're seeing it more and more.
Yeah.
So obviously it's working.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. You're growing that part of that relationship with the physicians. And as long as, again, you're working with the right people, you're going to do what's best by the patient.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. So we always ask this super important question.
Hit me.
What does mint condition mean to you?
Mint condition?
Yeah, that's the name of the podcast, the mint condition.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
That means that it's your best version of whatever it is that you're looking at, right?
Yeah.
If you're looking at a baseball card, that one's worth the most.
Yeah, mint
right?
condition baseball
That's
card.
right,
I love that.
So in healthcare, the way that I would interpret that is, did we get the patient back to the best that we could throughout this process? And if we can answer yes to that question, then we probably got them back to mint condition, right?
Yeah, I love that. And get the patient there and support the case,
Yep.
right? Like, we want to make that as an easy process and clean process as possible.
Yep.
That's a really good answer. Well, I appreciate you taking all this time to educate us, and hopefully you can put out, like on your social media and stuff, put out information about the classes you're going to teach, get more providers there, anybody in the community, especially if they want to get involved in auto accident. And then how do they contact you guys? What's the best way? Is there a phone number, your website? What's the best way?
Yeah, just go to our website,
Okay.
and you can reach out to me there.
Okay.
AccessCareCO.com.
Okay. AccessCareCO.com. Perfect. We'll put that up in the description. Make sure everybody can find you guys.
Cool.
Thanks
Thank you.
for taking the time.
Appreciate it.
Of course.